leave this world empty. Whatever message, whatever mission God gave you to do it. You need to learn how to first assess your value and then articulate it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Rise Up For You podcast. This is your host, Nada Lena Nasserdeen. Yet again, excited to bring to you another amazing guest. Please help me welcome Maya Elious. Hello, how are you today?
Hi, Nada. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you here. So today I'm really excited because we're going to talk about personal branding and what that can look like across the board. It's actually a topic that we haven't addressed for quite a while here at Rise Up For You. But before we do that, I would love to learn just a little bit about you and tell our guests like who you are, what you do, who were you when you were in high school? Give us the full rundown.
Wow. She said, let's take it back.
Yeah.
So I am the CEO of a company called Built Impact. We primarily work with female entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, people who want to get paid for their expertise. And we teach them how to package their skills into high-end consulting and coaching services. And I've been coaching for over 10 years now, which is crazy to say. But I started out in college as a designer. I started out creating custom Myspace pages for like reality TV stars and models and musicians, because that's what a lot of people use the Myspace platform for back then. That's really how I got into the branding space. You know, when I did start out on Myspace, I just liked that you could be whoever you wanted to be on the internet. I liked that I could take photos and colors and make it look nice. And I really started to recognize a few years in that my clients wanted to create a persona and they wanted to create a reputation. And that's when I really started kind of getting the idea that, wait, I'm doing something here other than just, creating graphics or making them look pretty. We're sending a message. And so I eventually transitioned from, MySpace to helping my clients build their websites and have an online presence, and then transition into messaging and strategy.
Okay, awesome. I love that. Well, one of the things that I'm interested in talking about is personal branding, specifically for those that are in like the corporate space, because I'm an entrepreneur. Our clients are predominantly in corporate and partially other entrepreneurs. But what I notice is that those that are trying to build their own business or that are already in like the influencer entrepreneur game, they understand the importance of a personal brand, right? Because at the end of the day, your business is really contingent upon you and how you show up.
Mhm.
But a lot of leaders and professionals that are in the corporate space almost think it doesn't matter until it's too late, right? Until they like lose the job and then they realize that their LinkedIn has no presence and that's like the number one place that people go to recruit, right? Or until they decide that maybe they do want to do something a little bit different or establish themselves as a thought leader, but they have no online receipt. And so I would love for you just to talk with us a little bit about personal branding, specifically when it comes to the professionals that are in corporate, so that they understand how to set themselves up for success, whether they want to climb the career ladder or eventually like have a plan A, B, C, and D.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you said about them not having receipts, because that's what it really comes down to. And, in my line of work, it's primarily working with women. I have found that sometimes women like to lead with a level of humility. And so they don't want to seem like they're bragging about themselves. And I'm like, if there's anywhere you need to be bragging about yourself, it's in a situation where talking about yourself is going to get you paid. And so when you are considering your personal brand, it's not necessarily about who you are. It's about how who you are can serve the person that you are talking to. So if you really believe in your skills, you really believe in the outcomes that you can get your employer or whoever you're describing as your audience, you need to be clear on talking about that and comfortable on talking about that. And so when you're building your personal brand, whether as an entrepreneur or in the corporate space, you need to learn how to first assess your value and then articulate it. And so I find that sometimes, my clients struggle to assess their value. They know they're good at what they do, but they don't know how to quantify that into a number. So when you're in the corporate space, you might not know how to ask for that raise or how to ask for just more benefits of whatever it is that you want, because it doesn't always come down to money, but it should come down to value and what you really value. You have to learn how to assess your value and then then how to articulate it. When it comes to assessing value in entrepreneurship, in corporate, at the end of the day, people are buying a version of them that they want to be. They're buying a benefit. And so when we're assessing value, it's about two things. It's about how are we addressing and eliminating a pain point that your client has. And I want you to think about your boss, your manager as your client. They are paying you an annual check, right? They're paying you a salary. I want you to think about your job now as a 12-month corporate role, because this is going to get you into the mind space of entrepreneurship while still honoring the position that you're in right now. And so when you're working with your client, you need to be thinking about what is their pain point and how am I alleviating or eliminating that pain? And then what is their ultimate desire and how am I getting them those results or getting them to that desire quickly, on budget, without wasting money and without wasting time. And so that is how you then assess your value, understanding how much does it cost them to not work with you. And that's how you can create leverage, right? In the space as well. Then you need to learn how to articulate that. So when you're having conversations, when you're having reviews, you can say, I'm an expert in XYZ. Now we make it about, here's how I bring value to you. I'm an expert in this. These are what my skill sets are, versus, well, I've been with the company for, 7 years now, and I love being a team player. Now you know how to articulate it as an expert, as somebody that they see value in. And so I think when it comes to building a personal brand, really just understanding the positioning and the messaging is something that you really want to be mindful of. And then going back to the receipts, taking note of the wins that you've been able to get for the companies that you've worked for. This is essentially creating your resume, but just positioning it a little bit different. It's so much more than just the bullet points. Again, it's knowing how to articulate it so people can recognize your value and recognize it in terms of measuring, what do we lose when we lose him? Or what do we lose when we lose her and she's no longer on the team and she goes to somebody else who knows how to recognize her value faster and they decide to hire her.
I love everything that you just said because it's realistic. And I think sometimes in the corporate space, team members can feel entitled to a job promotion or that next level because, hey, I've been here for 10 years.
Yes.
I've been here for 10 years. Or, like you said, I'm a team player and like I always show up. But the reality is that you do have to be able to express your value. And I know another word for it is self-promote, but I like express your value, right? Because I do think that there are some people that are hesitant to do it because it makes them feel icky, even though I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to stand in your success, but to be able to express your value. Because I can tell you from the flip side of it, Maya, as a business owner, and I always say this, okay, if I have a team of 20 or 50 or 100 and they're all like amazing people, even if I want to give them all promotions, I'm not going to. Like, I'm not going to be like, everyone gets a promotion because you're amazing. The person that is going to get the promotion or that is going to get to that next level is the person that comes to me. That's like, hey, like, here's what I bring to the table. Here's the value. Here's what I've done in the last year and a half, 2 years. I would like to see myself here. And my request is this. Okay. Then as the owner, I'm like, okay, well, let me take a look at this. Right. And the other 99 that didn't show up for themselves or didn't step forward, I'm not going to give them that promotion just because. That's very realistic. And I think that it's important for people to realize that they have to advocate for themselves, because owners aren't just walking around handing out promotions to everybody that's a good human.
Right. That's something, I even had to learn as a CEO, because running a business where I really want to see women be paid well and having a team of primarily women, I'm like, I want to pay you guys more. And early on, I would overpay people. It was like, oh, I just want to pay people well. It's aligned with my values. And then I did have to learn, like, no, these people still need to do the work to show why they should be getting paid more. And you should be able to see it in your bottom line. Are they giving you more time? Are they saving you time? Are they saving you money? Are they making you more money? And so when you are, working with the client, working for a company, they should really feel your loss. They should feel like, man, everybody else is working so much harder when you leave because of how much you contributed. Or, I had somebody on my team that she would coach some of my clients, and I think the clients really enjoyed working with her. And so I wanted to know, will the clients retain longer because they like, getting coached by her? So you want them to feel something like, we're losing clients, we're losing customers, we're losing time, we're losing money. And so measuring value in what's the consequence that they don't move forward with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on like the external side of the personal brand, so let's say like the online presence, like how important is it for a professional in the corporate space to also start establishing themselves outside of the company they work for? Even if they don't want to leave the company and they love where they're working, I think it's still smart to start establishing yourself as a thought leader and become in demand, like in the community and amongst your industry. So how important is that to you? And what are like maybe one or two steps that you think would be the first jump to building that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the first thing is just a quick mindset check and a reminder that your identity and your value is rooted in your values and what you love doing in this season and what's important to you, not in the company that you're working for. The company that you're working for is just a vehicle to express part of your identity, but it's not your identity. And so building your personal brand, it's really sharing who you are with the world and hope that it is speaking to the right people. And when you do marketing, you're going to be more intentional about getting it in front of the right people. But when you're building your personal brand, you want to be able to answer 3 questions that I think is going to allow you to show up more easily. So the 3 questions, first one is, who are you? And who are you is going to be based on who you are professionally, whatever your professional title is. An expert in copywriting, an expert in sales, an expert in whatever your expertise is. You want to talk about that. And who are you in terms of a little bit of the personal side of you. And I know this can be really challenging for my men and women in corporate because they're used to showing up as a role and not as a person. When you're building your personal brand, you get the luxury of humanizing who you are, which I think is something that's often missing in the corporate space and something that even people in corporate, they wish they could show up with that side, but they just put on a mask. You get to get rid of the mask when you're building your personal brand. And it doesn't mean that it's a sloppy version of you or it's a messy version of you. It just means it's the human side of you. And at the end of the day, you will find that you will connect with your ideal people because they connect with some personal side of you. And so outside of your professional title, I want you to think of what your brand story is. And your brand story is just going to be about why you love the industry that you're in, how you got into it, what is your ultimate mission, what type of results do you hope to get for your clients, or how do you want the world to change in this small way because of the thing that you care about. So that's answering the question of who you are, allowing people to get to know you on the human side while you're also positioning your expertise. The second question that you want to answer is, who do you help or who do you serve? And so this is typically going to be a description of the type of companies that you like working with. And this is going to be a group of people or the organizations that have a problem that you can solve. They have a desire that you are able to get them to. So thinking about who are the perfect companies and organizations that I like to work with. If you could list out the characteristics and the principles of these companies, I would list those out. Not the companies per se. And of course, you can have your wish list of companies you want to work with, but it's the principles, because when you speak to those principles, that's what you will attract. And then the last question you want to answer is, how do I serve them? And so typically when I'm working with my clients, they're creating their own packages, which I would encourage you all to do too, whether it's your speaking packages or your consulting packages. But my clients first think, how do I serve them in terms of, is it a 6-month retainer? Is it a VIP weekend, whatever it is? And I do want you to think about that. But when you're answering, how do I serve them? I want you to think about, 1, what is the outcome that you hope to get for them? And 2, what is your unique process as an expert on how you help them get there? So with your ideal client, they are likely at a starting point where they are stuck. They're bottlenecking somewhere. They're currently capped and they want to get to the next level or they want to move forward. You as the expert, you get to see where they are, where they want to go. And you know the process. You've done this over and over and over. You know the process to get them to the next level. That's how you're going to help them. And your unique process is part of positioning yourself as an expert, where one expert might come in and say, I have great people skills and I've worked at another company for 7 years. And it's all of the expert jargon, corporate jargon that's going to just put somebody to sleep. Where you come in and you're practical and you're like, I've seen this problem over a dozen times. I've been able to help 7 other clients or 7 other companies overcome this issue. Excuse me. And we've been able to do it in a 9-month time frame. You have the data to back up what you're doing. And this is how I plan to come in and do it. If we decide to work together, this is what that looks like. That's how you start positioning yourself. So answering the question, who am I? I am a blah, blah, blah expert. I got into this because I really care about XYZ. The type of companies I enjoy working with have these type type of values, they're struggling with these type of things. And how I help them is I take them through my 5-step process of blah, blah, blah. And in that first phase, we can knock it out within 8 months. That's how you position yourself.
I really like that you touched upon like a little bit of the personal side, because I don't know if you've seen this, but I've seen quite a few professionals that'll go create like multiple accounts, or like this one is for personal, this one is for professional. And I don't know about you, but on LinkedIn, like if I post something that's personal, I always tie it back to the profession, but it always gets the most amount of engagement, right? Because people want to see the human. And then if I have a client call, then they'll tell me like, oh, I saw that you just got married, which I did 9 months ago. And it creates like a talking point, and they feel like they know you, and then they're more likely to do the deal with you as well.
100%. Just finding that human connection at the end of the day. And it can be like, I remember when Instagram first came out and people were like, why do we care about what other people are eating? Or nobody's going to care about what I'm eating. Like nobody cares that I eat Chipotle. And it's like, we care more than we admit that we care. And other people care more than, that they might admit that they care. But they might see that you are, going vegan for the month of November. And they're like, you know what? I've been wanting to do that too. I've tried and I failed over and over. Can you give me some tips into, how you got started with it? And it has nothing to do with your industry, but because you're building that relationship. This is what networking looks like in this day and age. It's not just about how can you help me instantly get to the next level. It's not. Networking nowadays it's instantly transactional. It truly is relational. How do we connect as humans? And then do we have connection on, a professional level?
Yeah, I love that. Just so that everyone knows, while you're watching, my son happens to jump into the podcast. So if you see my hand going like this, it's like, do not enter the video.
I see him and I'm cracking up. And it's so funny because that's another, way of connection, right? Like I'm not a mom, but my sister has 3 kids and I love spending time with my nieces and nephew. And I remember just one year, just watching my sister, 2 of her kids are exactly 2 years apart. And I'm watching her like, how on earth are you building and running this business? And you have 2 little humans in diapers. Like this is insane. And so even connecting on that human level is, you never know the type of connections you'll make when you allow people to see the vulnerable and the imperfect sides of you, which we don't often share, especially in the corporate space.
Yeah, absolutely. Maya, this has been great. I'd love to jump into the power section of the interview and just ask a couple rapid fire questions.
Awesome.
So the first one is, if you were to leave the world with one final message, we call it our golden nugget. What would your golden nugget be?
Golden nugget. I would say leave this world empty. Whatever message, whatever mission God gave you to do it. Don't allow fear, doubt, worry to consume you. Just be obedient to what you're called to do on this earth and leave the world empty.
I love that. And as you know, Maya, our company, we specialize in soft skills, right? The things that make up 80% of your success that oftentimes we never learn. So in your opinion, like how important is soft skills to anyone's success? Like, do you have a story around it, or what's a soft skill that you say like every single person needs this?
Ooh, that's really good. A skill that I really wish I could see more people have? Curiosity. Just curiosity. I've been talking about that a lot with my peers. And it's like, there's so much you can discover when you become curious. There's so much you can learn. You can expand yourself so much by being curious. And when we block that curiosity, we tend to be more offended by things. So when you're more curious, you get to learn a lot more about what you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And final question for you. But before I ask, tell us where we can find you, your website, social media, so that we can connect with you.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram at Maya Elious, MayaElious. And I'm also, my website is mayaelious.com. So if you guys want to connect, if you need help building that personal brand, please don't hesitate to reach out.
I love that. Okay. Final question for you, Maya, is, as you know, we're the company Rise Up for You. What comes to mind for you when you hear that phrase?
Rise up. When I think about rise, I think about being true and authentic to who you are in this season. And I'm very big on seasons, because the version of who I was 4 years ago is just different than the woman I am today. And so in order for me to elevate, I have to be curious and clear about who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing in this season in order to rise up. So that's what I think about.
I love that. Okay. Thank you so much, Maya, for joining us. It has been an honor to have you on our show today.
Thank you, Nada. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for joining the Rise Up For You podcast. podcast. Again, this is Nada Lena Nasserdeen, the CEO and founder of Rise Up For You. Every single week, we're bringing you brand new episodes to help you become your best, to elevate your team, and to go out there and make an impact in the world. Thank you for joining us, and I will see you next time.